Hey guys, let's talk about the synthesis essay, which is the first free response question you'll receive on the AP exam. And ultimately, you have to think about it this way. The synthesis essay is an argumentative essay that you're compiling sources from. And so you have to think you're creating a position, you're creating an argument with a line of reasoning, but you have to use the sources that they've given you and incorporate them in a way where you show an understanding of the sources. And so here's from the CED, the course and exam description of AP Lang. And we've already reviewed this, but it's good to just kind of go over this again. But the question, you'll receive 6 to 7 sources about a specific topic. Two, and this is kind of new for the exam starting from 2019 and 2020, two of them will be visual, and one will be a quantitative source, so meaning graphs and other visuals related to quantifiable data. And so you're going to have to write an essay that synthesizes material from at least 3 of the sources, and you develop your own position on the topic. So that sentence right there shows you that you are creating an argumentative essay, but you must use the sources that they give you as evidence. And so look at the bullet points on what you're being assessed on. Be able to have a thesis that has a defensible position. Remember, that's key. That's one whole point out of 6. Your thesis needs to be defensible, and it needs to sum up what you're saying in your entire essay, so your argument, your position, and it must respond to the prompt. I see so many students struggling with that because you're coming up with a thesis that's defensible, but it's not adequately answering the prompt. So make sure you know the prompt well. You have to be able to have 3 sources that provides evidence for your line of reasoning. And you must use direct quotation or paraphrase or summary. I would highly recommend you use direct quotations and make sure that you're talking about the source as a whole. Don't just pick and choose. Last time we did this, a lot of students just chose one little claim from an article, but didn't really represent the source as an entirety. So make sure that you're looking at the source as a whole and be able to explain the evidence and in your line of reasoning, and appropriate grammar and punctuation, of course. And so they'll all be worded in a similar way. So let's take a look at an example that is given to you from the CED. So here is an example of a synthesis essay free response question on the AP exam. So they'll give you a little bit of background about the topic, as you can see here. As the internet age changes what and how people read, there has been considerable debate about the future of public libraries. So there you have the topic. It's going to be something about public libraries and how the internet is changing the way we read. While some commentators question whether libraries can stay relevant, others see new possibilities for libraries in the changing dynamics of today's society. So you're going to see, you can already see right there what the positions are going to be. Some are for, or some are excited about the changes of libraries based on the way internet is shifting culture, and others are questioning whether libraries are going to be relevant. So you can kind of see this this spectrum. And so you're going to read these 6 sources and be able to derive information from 3 of the sources that develops your position on position on the role, if any, that public libraries should serve in the future. There is your prompt. That is the position you need to be creating. Basically, you got to ask yourself, is there a role for public libraries? And if so, what is it? So your thesis should be something similar to, in this changing landscape that the internet is causing to our society, libraries can become a resource center that navigates information in the internet or something like that, and looking at the 6 sources that show you what your evidence is going to be. And so if you look quickly at the sources, you can see that they give you the source first in MLA format. And so let's look at source A. It's an interview in the American Democracy Project blog and it is Nancy Cranich is a former president of the American Library Association, the main professional organization for librarians in the United States. So that kind of maybe tells you a little bit about the position that she will have and support. And so, you really want to comb through and you really want to be able to explain the thesis. And that's why I had you guys doing that with your annotated bibliography, is to be able to come up with a quick thesis for a source and quickly delineate how the author is creating a line of reasoning using claims and evidence to support his or her argument. Okay. In source B, we have our first visual text. It is the calendar of events from the Orland Park Public Library. And so it's showing you a list of events. And perhaps you can use this to show how the library will change in its role and function in society. And you can kind of point to different events that are normally and typically occurring in the library. Source C is from Jenny Schenk. What is the role of libraries in the age of ebooks and digital information? So they're already telling you right there that they support a role, and they're going to give you some examples of what that role is for the library. And so I can imagine there's a lot of good information there if you were going to go that route. Source D is charts, it looks like. Libraries transformed, research on the changing role of libraries. And so you can use this quantifiable data. Remember, one of your sources will be quantifiable to support your claims. And you can see all the different categories. And now that we have ebooks, how the landscape is changing. It's a percentage of Americans age 16 and over have read both ebooks and print in the last 12 months. So you can use that in this graph as well. Source E is another article, the end of the library. That kind of shows you the position as well. And who knows? I mean, don't take everything from the title, but actually read through it. And the synthesis essay is basically implies that you have to read these kind of quickly and be able to come up with a thesis and a line of reasoning for the articles fairly quickly. So if you're a slow reader, you really got to be on top of this and start reading more so that you get used to reading and scanning for the information that you need quickly. And lastly, source F is from the American Library Association, and it's a report, State of America's Library Report. So more quantifiable data that you can use. So again, to reiterate, your synthesis essay is ultimately an argumentative essay where you have a position and you are arguing that position, developing a line of reasoning. However, the caveat to this is you must use 3 of the 6 to 7 given sources as a part of your line of reasoning. And so you want to choose information from the source and make sure that you're using multiple evidence from the source, not just 1 or 2, but really kind of showing an awareness and understanding of the position of that source that you created or that you gleaned from in order to create your own line of reasoning. Okay, so again, synthesis essay equals argumentative essay with sources that you're incorporating in your line of reasoning. All right.